There are four main characteristics of a state: a people, a territory, a government, and the ability to use diplomacy with other states. The most important characteristic is the ability to have diplomatic ties, because it is the only method to gain recognition as a new country. In other words, to be considered a nation on the international stage, other states must recognize you as such. Without this recognition, you will be prevented from joining international institutions such as the United Nations, even if you do function as a state in all but name. Today's video will discuss the challenges faced by potential states in gaining this critical recognition. This will be highlighted by using contemporary examples of would-be states who are struggling to achieve this. The first to be discussed will be Kosovo, a small European state that declared its controversial independence in 2008. The second example will be that of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, two small zones that declared their independence from Georgia in the 1990s. New states often face issues gaining recognition because the territory they claim as theirs is also claimed by another state that predates them. The older state then proceeds to prevent the international community from recognizing the newly founded renegade nation. One modern example of this is the Serbia-Kosovo predicament. In the 1990s, during the collapse of Yugoslavia, Kosovo declared its independence, much to Serbia's dismay. In the wars that followed, Serbia's attempt to ethnically cleanse the Albanian Kosovans resulted in a NATO intervention. The conflict ended in 1999, with Kosovo continuing to break away from the country through political means. In 2008, Kosovo declared independence from Serbia and has since created its own state, fit with its own government, territory, and people. Its population of 2 million is distinct to that of Serbia's, as it is 90% ethnically Albanian, with Serbians numbering only around 5% of the total population. Since then, Kosovo has pursued recognition of their independence from UN members. As of 2022, 117 nations recognize Kosovo, out of the world's total of 193, although Serbia claims the number to be lower at 111. Despite this majority, Kosovo is still not a member of the United Nations, and its independence remains an issue of contention with Serbia and its supporters. The Belgrade government rejects the declaration of independence on the grounds that it was illegal, and that Kosovo is legally Serbian territory. Some of its allies, such as Russia, has followed this example, declaring the declaration illegal in 2008. Serbia even sponsored a court case on the issue that was brought to the International Court of Justice in The Hague. This backfired as the court ruled on a vote of 10-4 that the independence declaration did not violate international law and was therefore legal. Despite this, Serbia has continued to pressure members of the international community to not recognize the state of Kosovo. As such, relations between the two nations are incredibly tenuous. Serbia's stance has directly prevented Kosovo from gaining EU or UN membership and taking its place with the nations of the world. This is just one example of how newly formed states are prevented from gaining recognition due to territorial claims. If the old state they are emerging out of refuses to accept the change, the new state can face incredible difficulties as a result. And for Kosovo, this struggle will most likely continue for years to come, despite being recognized by 2/3 of the world's nations. Another reason why some states find it difficult to be recognized is because they are born out of illegal means, such as an annexation. An annexation is a military conquest of one state territory by another. In the early 20th century, this would have been considered acceptable by some due to the right of conquest. This policy is the right of the winner of a military conquest to sovereignty over the conquered lands and its population. This policy was abandoned following the creation of the UN and the adoption of the right of peoples to self-determination, at least in theory. The policy of non-recognition was instead fashioned and is still in use today. Non-recognition is the act of not acknowledging annexation as legitimate and instead a breach of international law. As such, when nations do carry out annexations in modern times, they often create a puppet state in the conquered territories instead of directly integrating the area into their nation. This is intended to give their actions some sort of legitimacy, but this often fails. Instead, these areas are considered puppet states, and a policy of non-recognition is adopted by the international community. This can go on for years and in some cases even decades. Would-be states that are born out of such annexations find it nearly impossible to gain recognition, and instead are stuck in limbo. An example of non-recognition being adopted after an annexation is Abkhazia and South Ossetia in Georgia. While the two areas declared their independence in the 1990s, they remained internationally recognized as part of Georgia. After years of conflict and ethnic cleansing in the region, this has not changed. In 2008, however, Russia invaded Georgia in a short but bloody war that resulted in a Russian occupation of both South Ossetia and Abkhazia. Shortly afterwards, the regions declared themselves once again independent republics, separate from Georgia, which was supported by Russia. This was internationally recognized as an annexation by nearly all UN members who considered the new South Ossetia and Abkhazia republics both to be puppet states of Russia. There is much evidence to support this view. The republics currently use Russian currency, and most of its citizens now hold Russian passports, which are used as travel documents. Furthermore, the regions hold a substantial and continuous Russian military presence since the war ended. While it's hard to come by a precise figure, certainly thousands of Russian troops are housed in military bases there. It is understandable then that the international community has adopted non-recognition in response to the developments. Only 5 UN members recognize their independence, including Russia, while the remaining 4 are allies of the Kremlin. The other 190 nations continue to hold the state as illegitimate. As this video clearly demonstrates, there are many challenges faced by new nations who want to gain recognition as a sovereign state. You can be like Kosovo and attempt to do so through seceding, but that does not guarantee that the world will recognize you as an independent nation. You must often have the support, or at least the neutrality, of the larger state that you are seceding from to gain recognition unhindered. If they oppose your independence, they may use anything from political to military means to prevent it. The other way, annexation, if your new state has been born out of a military invasion, it becomes nearly impossible to gain international recognition from anyone. Hey guys, thanks very much for watching, and if you've enjoyed the video, please give us a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.